So by a show of hands, and don't be shy, by a show of hands, how many of you follow reality TV shows? Anybody? So we got one. Got one. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Don't be shy. Are you sure? Big Brother, American Idol, The Voice. Yeah, we got a couple more. Okay. So we're going to, do you watch more than one? Leave your hand up. Mountain Men. Okay, there's another one. If you watch more than two, keep your hand up. How about more than three? How about more than four? We lost one. More than five? What shows do you watch?
Life Below Zero.
Life Below Zero. That one takes place up in Alaska, right?
Yeah, a lot of them do.
A lot of them, okay. What do you watch?
Survivor, Gold Rush.
Survivor, Gold Rush. What about, somebody back here had their hand up. I think. Watch The Bachelor. I watch that too. What do you watch?
American Idol, Wicked Tuna.
Wicked Tuna, that's a new one, right? That's not one. I'm subject to it when I'm at the house, because that's my brother.
The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice, yeah. There's lots of reality TV shows out there, right? So the one that I watched recently, I've been watching episodes of this on, you can watch them, they log them, it's through Hulu, is The Masked Singer.
Oh my God.
So I watched The Masked Singer, and I think they're like in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th season maybe. They're along the way. If you're not familiar with that show, let me tell you what that show is about. Famous people are selected or volunteer to come on the show. So think anyone famous in your life. Movie stars, TV show hosts, famous athletes. I think Poppy, baseball player, what's his real name? I just call him Poppy. Ortiz. Yeah, he was on this show one time, so he's a very famous retired baseball player, baseball commentator. Think famous people, singers, Broadway actors. They come on the show and they're in disguise, kind of like my glasses, right? But not so cheap. They wear full body costumes, so you have no idea who they are except for maybe their height and even their size. If they're a bigger person, a stockier person, they wear an outfit that covers all of that. They come on stage and they get clues, or they give clues to the audience. There's a 4-judge panel, sometimes a 3-judge panel, and from the clues, the panel tries to figure out who they are. The person then sings their song. Could be anything, whatever they want to sing. They sing the song. The panel guesses, and then at the end of the show, after all of the contestants have sung and the vote is in, one person, sometimes two, are voted off the show. And they come forward. The panel gets their final guesses. They either lock them in or they change their guess. And then when that is done, I forget who the announcer guy is, but he'll say to the audience, "You know what time it is?" And the audience starts saying, "Take it off, take it off, take it off." They want them to remove their headgear. And so then this person comes out and it either affirms what they've been thinking or they're just astonished that they couldn't figure it out. In 2023, there was an episode. And the contestant came out dressed in a gnome costume. Now you know what a gnome is, right? It's the little pointy-hatted, short, chubby cheeks, cute sparkling eyes outfit, right? They have this cute little outfit on, but it was a full-body gnome outfit. You would have no clue. There's no way to know who they are except by their voice. They came out and went through the clues, and then the panel made their guesses. Some guessed, I think 2 guessed Dustin Hoffman, the icon. They always put these really fancy words. The iconic, the most famous, the greatest of all time. Dustin Hoffman. They locked their answers in for now. And then the contestant sings a song. This particular song was a song by Billie Holiday, an early 20th century jazz singer. When You're Smiling, she sang. And if you're from a different generation, you might not know who Billie Holiday is. You might be thinking Billie Eilish. No, this is a different person. So they sang their song, and as soon as they opened their mouth, I thought, I know who that is. And the panel, too, was like, oh, this voice, we know who this person is. Through the entire song, I was racking my brain. I started feeling like I just knew that I knew in my soul of souls, my heart of hearts, that this was someone from my childhood. A movie star, a singer, an actor, somebody that I knew that touched me. I just couldn't put the name on it, but I knew the voice. At the end, they come forward and the panel locks their votes in. They can change them, what have you. None of them guessed. They were all wrong. The audience chanted, "Take it off, take it off." And when they removed this person's headgear, it turned out to be Dick Van Dyke. 97-year-old Dick Van Dyke. He was 97 at the time. And I knew he played Bert in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He was this inventor, crazy inventor guy who flew the car around. He played, I don't know what the guy's name is, it's too hard to remember. It's got a lot of syllables, but he played the chimney sweep in Mary Poppins. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. You got it, right? I just knew that voice from my childhood. And I wish I'd had about 3 more seconds to figure it out and guess it because I was duped, right? He got us all. But the power of that voice, for me and other people to recognize who he was, even though we couldn't place the name, it made me feel something. I was taken back to my childhood and those good feelings of what it felt like to sit in front of the TV and watch that crazy car fly around and those people do that, whatever that dance was that he did, right? He used to always dance. And he did it on that show, by the way. At 97. The power of that voice to influence me, to change me, to connect me in some way over all of those years, it's incredible. We know something about voices. We know when we recognize one, like I did with Dick Van Dyke. We know when we hear a voice that we can trust. I mentioned to the kids if I was around the corner, and if they trusted me, they might trust that voice. And if I said, "Choir, follow me," down the aisle and out the doors, you might wonder where we're going, but we have a level of trust, hopefully at this point, where you would say, "Okay, well, I'm going to follow that voice. I don't know where we're going yet." But we know a voice that we trust. We know a voice that we could follow. Voices are all over the place. And I think about when I worked in a car dealership. I used to sell these cars. And if you have worked in a retail space or a place where you have people come in and you have regulars, you get to know their voices. You hear them around the corner. You say, "Oh, that's Mrs. Smith." Or, "That's Mr. Johnson. I know that voice. I'm going to go and say hi." I got to know them by their cars. Sitting in the showroom and the car would come by and I'd be like, "Oh, I know that car. I'm going to go back and say hi to the Smiths. Ford, back in the 70s, was having an issue with the perceived value of their product. They needed to get a voice out there. They needed to get a message out there and in here to inspire people to come back. And so in 1981, someone came up with this brilliant ad campaign. Billboards, TV, newspapers, magazines, flyers, word of mouth. Quality is job one. See, you remember it. Quality is job one. And so for 12 years or so, they ran this campaign. From 1981 to 1983, they ran this ad. And in 1983, they went out and they polled the American public. And this astonishing thing had happened from a way, way low percentage of people, all the way up to 45% of the American public all of a sudden knew that Ford had a good product. Quality is job one. The voice was out there. They started then to believe it. And once you start believing something, you start feeling something about it. They started feeling more confident, less cautious. Maybe they started telling their friends, hey, you know, Ford's got this great quality product. It turns out that they really hadn't changed much. The actual numbers on the ground didn't follow with the message, but that wasn't the point at the time. The point was, get people to believe the message. Hopefully they will feel emotionally connected in some way, and then they will come and buy more cars. They will come to their friends, and I'll get my choir director to come on down, buy a car from my favorite salesperson, because the quality of Fords is the best in the nation. It is their number one job. So they get us to motivate. That was the point. And that's like really where we land in this story today. Jesus is out there. He's talking to these Pharisees and Sadducees and religious leaders, and he's got them all around, and he's condemning them. Thief, robber, deceiver, liar. You are not the good shepherd. I am the good shepherd. As I was researching sheep, I went to the internet, that's what we do these days, went to the internet and I found a video on Reddit. And it was a video of this very modest sheep pen. It included about maybe 2 to 3 dozen sheep. And all you see in the video is a fence. You see the sheep. And then you hear the voice of someone saying, go up and try it. So one by one, 3 different people walk up to the fence. And I don't know if I heard the sheep call right, but this is what it sort of sounded like. Ticka, 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 ticka. Nothing. Second person, different age group, different sounding voice. They went up to the fence. Ticka, 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 ticka. Didn't work. And finally, a third person of a different gender, different stature, different age group, he came up to the fence. Ticka, 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 ticka. Not one of those sheep even lifted their head. It had these people in stitches. They couldn't believe that this call that they'd been taught by the shepherd wouldn't work when they came up to the fence and made the call. Then the shepherd came up. The shepherd came up to the fence. Tika, 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 tika. One by one, those heads started to pop up. They stopped chewing their grass. They quickly looked around, and the next thing you know, they all flocked together like a little funnel and came right up to their shepherd. They knew the one who had taken care of them. They knew the one who had delivered them their food every day. They knew the voice of the one who they were safe with, the one who took care of them and protected them against their perceived threats. And so they came to their shepherd. And that's where that video ends. Now, the people that Jesus was talking to at that time, even though they were Pharisees and Sadducees, I don't know if they had any sheep. But the community at the time, it was a big shepherding culture. If we read back to, the book of Job, right? Job, at the very beginning of the book, has 7,000 sheep. At his redemption, everything is doubled or tenfolded. We read that he ends up with 14,000 sheep. Not a little number. Solomon's temple. At the dedication of the temple, there were 120,000 sheep and goats dedicated and sacrificed to the Lord. The folks of Jesus' time knew what that story meant, to be a shepherd of your flock. They didn't get it right away, at least the Pharisees and the Sadducees did, because he had to say, okay, I am the good shepherd. You are the deceiver, and this is the flock, and you are no longer going to deceive my flock because I've called you out. So he's talking about us, the sheep or the sheeple. He's talking about us. And I wonder then, in that, who are the deceivers in our lives? Who are the voices that we're listening to out there on the internet or in the newspaper, in our conversations, wherever it might be? Where are those voices that are the voices of the fake shepherds? And how do we learn to recognize who Jesus is in the cacophony of voices? What are some ways, you can offer these up, what are some ways that we could get to know Jesus better? Read the Bible. Absolutely.
Listen to pastor.
Listen to your pastors, your preachers, those trusted voices that help in ministry together learn the way forward. Question your pastors too. Pray. Be in conversation with God. Yeah.
Look at the fruits of their work.
Look at the fruits of the work of the person that you're following. Worship. Be together in community with one another. Bible study. Bible study. Monday morning, Bible study. Be in conversation with your friends over the Bible. Spend time with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit and the Word of the Lord. That's what the sheep did. I saw something this morning on Facebook as I was death scrolling. I saw this thing on Facebook that spoke right into this message. It's plays from a shelter for dogs and cats and other animals. And it had 3 pictures, and it had a list of things. The journey of your adopted rescue. And I don't remember all the things, but basically the first week it was like, they don't know who you are. They don't trust you. They're trying to figure out, where do I go to find the food? That's in the first couple of weeks. Then in the first couple of months, or I said that was the first couple of days. First couple of weeks, then they start to go, oh, well, I know where to get the food, and I know that this person will come and let me outside so I can go run the yard and do what it is that I need to do. I kind of get a routine, so they leave in the morning. I get to sleep all day and bark at the neighbors and the mailman and whatever I do all day, chase the cat. And then they come home. And in about 3 months, they're like that sheep in that pen. They hear the car coming down the street. They're already wagging themselves to the door, waiting for you to open the door because they know you. They know your voice. They know the sound of your car, and they trust it, and they feel it, and they greet you at the door. So we need to practice. We need to learn to trust our Savior. And the only way that we can really do that is by doing these things that we've talked about. Be in ministry together where you see the fruits. Serve together. Converse about the Bible. Go out and rip my sermon apart this morning with one another. Because you should, right? What the heck was she talking about? Sheep. Bah. That's how we learn. Because on the big menu of things, think about going into McDonald's. The Big Mac is on the board. You know, if you order a Big Mac and you get a cheeseburger, it doesn't have 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. You know that's not the thing. When we can be in communion and conversation with the Lord, when we can be in conversation with the Word, when we do the practice and we spend the time like the sheeple that we are, then when we look at the big menu, when we spot the thing, we know that's the thing. We know that that is Jesus' voice. Because we've listened, we've learned, we've internalized it, and we feel it. We feel less fearful, less anxious. We feel more cared for, more beloved. We can feel it. And that understanding and that knowing and that feeling brings us to a place where we just know. We know that God is the creator of the universe. We are part of the universe. God created each and every one of us here and out there as beloved children of God. We know that we were made on purpose, for a purpose in this life, which is to worship our God in all the ways that we live our life. And so our call, I think, no, I know, I'm not going to say think. All right, reverse, scratch that out. I know that our call is to look at the menu of voices in this world and to be able to, through practice and time, to be able to point that voice out and to know that we belong to that good shepherd. Go out into the world and share that message with others today. To know the Good Shepherd beyond a doubt. Amen.